15 love.
Oh, that was a big opportunity there for Sampras, because I think Hlasek was caught in two minds the half volley, thought of dropping it, playing the half volley drop shot, not an easy shot to play. And seemed to anticipate, so perhaps he chased Sampras's forehand a little wide. Yes, you mentioned the humidity. Of course, in the what are still really the winter months in Florida, the humidity is never quite as bad. Or it may be bad, but because it isn't as hot, it doesn't feel that severe. Come into July, August, and you really do feel it.
40.
First ace from Hlasek, who at one stage in the middle of last year dropped out of the world's top 120 and then resurrected his career. Got to finals in Stade and Bordeaux.
Game, Hlasek.
You can't emphasize the break in
2 games to love.
More emphatic fashion than that. Just tell you that the opening match on the centre court today saw Steffi Graf go through 6-3, 6-2 against Gigi Fernandez. Anke Huber, the third seed in the women's singles, she's won today against Xiting Wang, 6-love, 5-7, 6-4. Elena Sukova, though, the 15th seed, has lost 6-love, 7-5 to Silvia Farina. And again, we simply are unable, for contractual reasons, to bring you any of the women's event. Sorry about that. Yesterday we told you that Tim Henman had gone out. Well, Greg Rosetsky also lost last night. 6-4, 7-6 to Jonas Bjorkman. The tiebreak 11-9.
Quite a bit of wind, so it can certainly affect the ball toss, and you might have observed during the rallies, if the ball's not hit particularly hard, the ball wobbles about.
Third ace.
Yes, ironic, isn't it? He shouldn't have served many aces yesterday, but was never in trouble. Today he's serving the aces, but already he's a breakdown.
Maybe the wind affecting the man I think has got just about the best overhead in the game.
Yes, I think I'd choose stick smash, but nevertheless I think the wind certainly affected that, and Hlasek did well to get it to the backhand volley of Sampras. Like his backhand ground shot, not the better volley. That's a big second serve.
There's 2 breaks, and Sampras really would be in trouble.
He's trying to take a little bit off that. In fact, not a little, a lot. There've been a lot of net chords.
Lovely depth from Hlasek, who hits the ball pretty flat.
Yes, unlike Sampras, who's much sounder on the forehand side, Hlasek much sounder on the backhand.
advantage, Sampras.
So Sampras eventually manages to open his account. But it's Hlasek who leads by 2-1 with the break.
He looks eager, he looks hungry, but then so does Hlasek.
Better. Sanchez Vicaria lost on a final set tiebreaker to Karina Habsudova. I'll take you briefly through the results of the late men's matches yesterday in a moment, which were probably too late for your morning newspaper. Stefan Edberg, he went through in 2 tiebreaks against Javier Frana, so it'll be Edberg against Pereira. Tomorrow they're playing the bottom half of the men's 3rd round today. Top half of the ladies. Oh my word.
Well, he's got a bit of sun from that side. Quite a few players have had problems there.
So first double from Hlasek. Ono Birch beat Daniel Nestor in straight sets. Henrik Drakeman put out the 9th seed when Ferreira in 6-4 in the 3rd. And this is handing the break back on a plate.
Well, maybe when they print the papers tomorrow, that result will be the other way around, and Ferreira will have won after all.
I don't think so, Fred. Jim Courier lost just 1 game to Steve Bryan. Oh dear. Well, that really is a disastrous game. Sun or no sun. 2 doubles, horrendous miss. Yeah, where do the clouds go, he's asking.
Yes, I think he wants some clouds, and also he wants the wind to drop. He's expecting a lot.
Andre Agassi, he scraped through in a final set tiebreak against Bernd Karbacher. Just wide.
15.
Sebastian Leroux beat the 20th seed Jan Simrink in straight sets. Alberto Costa beat the qualifier Juan Luis Rascon 6-4 in the 3rd. Mark Rosset beat Jonathan Stark 6-2 in the 3rd.
Well, that'll make up for it a bit. Really middling that, playing it very much off the front foot.
Todd Woodbridge beat Martin Dam in straight sets. Well, that's a crisper backhand volley from Sampras.
30-15.
Yes, that's really as good a volley as you'll see. He doesn't often hit it as sharply angled as that. And he sort of snuck in against Hlasek. I don't think Hlasek expected him. Hlasek had time to hit the backhand with a bit more power, but didn't.
40-15.
Continuing the results, Javier Sanchez beat Magnus Larsson 6-2 in the 3rd. He plays Goran Ivanisevic, who beat Richie Renneberg in straight sets. Jonas Bjorkman, as I mentioned, beat Greg Rosetsky 6-4, 7-6. He played Michael Chang.
Okay. Sampras.
Chang, who beat Jason Stoltenberg 6-3, 6-4. At the moment, Sampras leads Hlasek 3-2 in the 1st.
Exklusiv in Amica. Sharon Stone schreibt, Iris Berben rechnet ab. Pharmaopfer klagen an. Amica, die neue Frauenzeitschrift. Jetzt am Kiosk.
Kremliovskaya vodka, made with the finest.
As I say, we're through to the third round now of both men's and women's events.
Well, he's still not entirely happy on his delivery here, but at least so far no double. And of course, Sampras doesn't really have the returning capacity, particularly on the backhand side, to take advantage of weak serves.
That's a beautiful touch from Hlasek, who of course is a very fine doubles player.
40-15.
And some 20 doubles titles.
Yes, he and Forget are the 7th seeds here. Lovely little drop volley. You could see Sampras was standing back. He wasn't quite as close to the net as you like to be when you play that shot, but he played it so well.
Game lost. 3 games lost.
So Jakob Hlasek finding life much easier at our commentary box end.
Yes, and of course, if the sun is bothering you at all, you're just a little blinded by it initially if you're going to serve volley. So very often players will stay back. You can see Sampras keeping his eye on it too. I suppose he's really trying to keep his eye off it, but you can't but help look up there. It's almost as if you want somebody else to do the looking. Have a runner.
25 past 1 in the afternoon in Biscayne. So a very awkward time for the sun.
30.
Massive stands around here, 14,000 at seats, so it protects them from the wind that you saw taking those craft out in the bay. Didn't play here last year. He chose to play Copenhagen and St. Petersburg, Hlasek.
Just wide. Talking of Copenhagen, I can tell you that Magnus Gustafsson has won the title there today, beating Yevgeny Kavolnikov, the top seed, 6-2, 7-6. Here.
Well, I would have thought after his last experience here, it would have been first serve in at all costs.
15.
But perhaps he's trying to forget it.
Oh dear. Well, again, he's looking up at the sun. So I don't think he's got it out of his mind.
No, I don't think he has, really. This was a bad miss. One of those awful returns, mind you, that is not always that easy to take because it's not what you expect.
30.
I wonder if that missed backhand has given Hlasek now the idea just to get in a 3/4 pace first serve to the backhand. His rhythm is certainly not there.
And it's on the line, living a little dangerously.
Seems to know that he can do it. That's what I was saying about him playing against Sampras. He has lost a couple of times fairly easily to him, but on the other occasions he's pushed the American.
4 games.
Well, Sampras expecting the call. It didn't come. Instead, that goes down as a second ace for the Swiss. A man born in Prague, but his parents emigrated when he was only 4 years of age. They got out in the spring of '68 at a little window under Zonda Dubček. For all. With Henman and Ruzetsky losing in singles yesterday, that's British interest gone in the singles. In the doubles today, I'm afraid Andrew Richardson and his Hungarian partner, Gabor Koves, have lost 4 and 4 to Kenny Thorne and Jack Waite of the United States. And when I was coming over, Tim Henman and his German partner, Patrick Kuhnen, were in all sorts of trouble against Leander Paes and Nicholas Pereira, a set and a breakdown. Interesting that Henman should play with Kuhnen there. Claire Wood plays much later today in the women's doubles again with Katerina Studenikova. They're playing Silvia Farina and Laura Galasa of Italy.
Good bit of timing there. You could actually hear the right foot snap into the ground as he played that almost militarily. Good feeling for Sampras when this happens. Nice bit of timing, and that's what he often lacks on that side.
Yes, he's into the rhythm now, because in his last 3 service games, just 1 point against the serve. So Sampras moves ahead once again, 5-4 in the first. Saturday, men's on Sunday. Jakob Hlasek here, serving to stay in the opening set. At least he's serving with the sun at his back. Yep.
15.
Have they got equal prize money for the women? That's what I want to know.
Delena Mulcahy at the back there, the girlfriend of Pete, and in the front Paul Annacone, of course, who's with me last week in the booth, and Todd Schneider, who's now the physical trainer of Pete Sampras.
30.
I want notice of that question. You mean you didn't look it up, Fuad?
No, I must say it's only just come to me. I was thinking about the Australian, all the fuss that surrounded the lack of equality there, the inequality.
Certainly was nowhere near equal prize money in Indian Wells. Oh dear.
30-15.
From memory, the men's was 2.2 million.
I know that the total prize money here is 4.1.
Well, the total men's is 2.3, so the answer is no.
Sounds like 1.8, does it?
Yeah. Not far short. In Indian Wells, as I said, the men's was 2.2 and the women less than $1 million. But then Indian Wells is not, as yet, a Tier 1 WTA Tour tournament. They're hoping very much that it will become that. Certainly Charlie Passerelle, the tournament director down there, hopes that. And again, the backhand of Sampras letting him down. That was a comparatively easy shot to make.
Yes, the word comparison. I was looking at Sampras here, just watching Hlasek make that low backhand volley. Now, there are not too many shots that Hlasek's going to be better at than Sampras, but he certainly is on the backhand volley and the backhand generally. Really moved under it well.
15 love.
That volley there is not really a test because it's fairly simple. Well, he's a shake of a head here, and Hlasek will be nodding his at the other end.
It's almost as if that ball stopped on him with the wind. He seemed to lunge forward for it at the end. You watch now. A little bit off balance, you can see, falling forward.
Just as well for Hlasek.
There's the trembler device that cools the net on the ATP Tour these days. Well, getting slightly mixed reviews. I think it's working pretty well, but one or two of the players in Indian Wells were complaining about it. Ooh, my word, so close.
Well, the players are a little closer to the action. But then it may be when it's really against them that they're tending to complain. I think he thought that was going out, Hlasek.
Yeah, it was as if the wind got it again and stopped it.
Sampras leads 6 games to 5.
So Sampras is ahead again, 6-5.
Well, I think he learned from the last point in that previous game that from this side you can actually give the ball a fairly good rap. And there's a good chance it'll stay in.
And Sampras again unconvinced about the call. Trying to look for the mark.
Get his magnifying glass out. Might have been wide as well. Perhaps it got just a bit of the line. Certainly wind assisted.
Took his leg stump, didn't it?
Oh, certainly beaten by the off break.
One thing I'm a little surprised at, in both Indian Wells and here, that they don't have Cyclops, given the magnitude of the tournaments. I think that they might invest in the line machine for the service line.
30.
Third ace, no doubt about that one. Good speed too.
He's been hitting first serves in this year at just under 60%, about 59%, which is just about par for the course, Hlasek. Sampras the same for the year.
Well, trying desperately to get his stronger forehand into play, just got a little tucked up on the shot.
Yes, when there's wind about, you've really got to accelerate the feet. That'll be quite twinkle-toed. And you can see there not only the ball hopping that Hlasek made, but also the wind just taking it away from Sampras and having to make an adjustment, but not doing it with the feet. Trying to do it with the upper body only. Lucky to get away with it.
And he gave Hlasek another bite at the cherry.
Advantage, Sampras.
Yes, he did well to come in on the forehand, because what it meant was that he was likely to get plenty of room for the next shot and possibly a forehand volley as well.
Set point. Too good. Yes, he came up with a couple of really good points at the end there, Sampras. After Hlasek had let him off the hook at 40-30. So Pete Sampras it is who takes the opening set, which lasted some 37 minutes by the margin of 7-5.
Well, that missed forehand off the misjudged Sampras forehand return, pretty costly for Hlasek. Really, as you say, let Sampras into the game. At game point, and that was a game point. Just not getting enough pace on this, not able to get around behind the ball quite well enough. And so it's a steered backhand, and Sampras can gobble those up all right.
Winner of this match will play the winner of the match between Todd Martin and Renzo Furlan, who are in action later today, quite a lot later today, on the grandstand court, the second court.
Yeah, it's not an easy match for either of them. I imagine Martin should win that one. I'd like to see Furlan come through there.
Yes, Fru and I are both admirers of the Italian. A man who really has established himself as the top Italian this year, with 2 wins over Gaudenzi and higher in the rankings. Well, Sampras lost his opening service game of the first set. Maybe he's thinking that he's playing in a handicap event and he ought to give his opponent a service break to make things fair.
Well, he certainly needs to get in a few more first serves here.
Yes, that was what the doctor ordered. And the jammer, the one right into the body.
Well, if there's wind about, it's very often not a bad play, really. It's a percentage serve. Aim for the middle of the block or use the opponent as a target.
Advantage, Sampras.
He judged that one nicely, realizing that it was going to travel with the wind, on the wind.
Have a look at Delena Malkahi, who's due to finish her law degree course, I think in May.
Sampras. First game, second set.
So Sampras gets himself out of a hole.
Well, using the speedy serve that time from the right court. Kicked the first one and was unlucky.
Yes, 122 miles an hour. You've just seen the high in Sampras there. He's one of the few men who's been over 130 miles an hour this year.
Beautifully controlled rally, really, by both players. I think by far the best rally of the match in terms of middling the ball. This is the serve that for the returner is so difficult to read. He can switch directions virtually at the very last minute. How he learned to serve with his coach calling as he threw the ball up wide, straight, and he would do it at the, as I say, just with a turn of a wrist.
Was that Joe Brandy, his original coach? Or?
No, it was I think Pete Fisher, his original coach.
As a kid.
Sampras leads 2 games to 1.
So a fourth ace takes Sampras in front. 2-1, second set. In his swan song year, even though he's a year younger than Jakob Hlasek.
Yes, that's, I think, a good draw for Edberg, because Pereira will find it difficult to keep up after his win against Musta. He found that difficult in Qatar, didn't he, having beaten Becker? Although, of course, that was a lot more innovating, 3 tiebreaker sets. And also, I think Pereira's style of play will suit Edberg.
Yes, and if he could get through that, he'll play either Mal Washington or Arno Birch. So, although those are both very solid players, they're not people who automatically assume would beat Edberg. Too long. It's not as if he's going to come up as he did last week in Indian Wells against Michael Chang early on.
No, quite. Those are more the players he's really got to be concerned about. Now, I would think he would look forward to possible 2 matches against Pereira and either Birch or Washington. Had a lovely sound to it, that forehand. Nice clap. Of course, you swinging the ball wide, you've got to take a little bit off. He's got rather a nice looking serve, Hlasek. Quite statuesque. And he himself, I think, is sort of out of a James Bond movie, statuesque.
In the papers that Chris. So that's a love service game for Sampras. And his lead is 3-2 in the second set.
Hong Kong.
Well, he closed nicely behind that. Didn't stop too soon, just kept advancing. When Sampras played his slice, he really kept on moving in, and that way, of course, played the ball a little higher than had he waited for it. Just tempted to vary it a little bit. Not a bad thought, perhaps, but I generally feel that if there is a weakness at the opponent's side, keep hammering away until they are a bit more grooved, or until they hit enough shots to tell you not to.
Yes, you certainly don't want to direct your second serves at your opponent's strength. Sampras' forehand beginning to work very sweetly.
Yes, didn't really move his feet particularly there, but at least the timing was right. Perhaps no need to in that case.
40.
Well, Hlasek a little surprised by the call on net, but I think you may have just picked up the little bleep that sounded on Donna Leconto's desk. Oh, nice couple of pickups from both of them. It's Hlasek who draws.
As attractive as this, played by both of them. Nice hands here. The ball was almost behind Hlasek. And here, of course, he was trying to deceive. Not an easy shot for him to play that. He was playing it rather flat, rather than slicing it. There's wind about. You don't really want to steer the ball too close to the line. He and Forget were semi-finalists at the Australian Open in the doubles.
Tending to float those backhand slice returns at the moment. It's the time of the match, exactly 1 hour. Oof, dear me. Lost the ball toss on that completely. Just a second double fault from Sampras. So just the 2 break points in the opening game of the second set. Bruguera. Here Jakob Hlasek serving 3-4 second set against Sampras.
Yes, Krajcek's parents must have gone to Holland at about the time that Hlasek's parents went to Switzerland, leaving Czechoslovakia, that was.
Now then, good time for Sampras to pounce, wouldn't it be? Would leave him serving for the match.
And not as easy for Hlasek to get out of this. Sunny side up, end.
Did you have your egg sunny side up this morning or easy over?
Over easy.
Now that's what I've been saying wrong, is it?
What, you've been calling them tomatoes too, have you?
Oh, certainly. That is a bad miss from Sampras. Oh, hang on.
Seems to have overruled.
Or has he called the score wrong?
Well,
it was way in, wasn't it? So 2 break points. Well, there was definitely a call of out from the line judge, but it was way in, as we saw.
Yes, that's where there's just a total lack of footwork. He's really got to approach the ball a lot more determinedly, get a lot closer to it. There we are, a bit of skipping will do it. Well, he did well to get out of those, even though it was a mishit and a misplay by Sampras. Those were nervy points for Hlasek.
Found the line.
Well, a backhand to remember. Hlasek did his best to cover it, but he just got the eye of the needle here.
This lovely shot had on the super slow-mo camera. You do get close up on that particular camera. You see the ball going to Sampras' forehand on break point, you normally think that's it.
Yes, particularly when Hlasek hadn't moved. Stood his ground, see if we can pick up here. He seemed to stand a little upright on that, didn't he? Didn't get quite down under it. Well, that's all right, providing the racket gets under it, but neither did. Yes, I thought the call was good. Very close, but it looked out.
Fourth double fault.
See what you think.
Out.
Yeah. He's still not too happy with the call.
Oh, whether he thought there was a misshaped ball. Well, that's a good game for Hlasek to win. 3 break points. Sampras that slipped through his fingers.
And Sampras all over the place with some of those shots. That'll just dispirit him a bit, but I don't think Hlasek was too busy noticing. He was so self-centered, and had to be, of course, at the time. Not looking easy suddenly.
No, you felt as if the match was there for the taking. No, he's going to work. Going to have to work.
Not a man who embraces the forehand particularly well.
Well, the way that ball shot through, you feel it must have caught the back edge of the line.
Yes, it certainly felt in. Need one of those German cameras on the baseline.
Yes, I think they're a terrific innovation. The mini cams, the sort of cameras you stick on Formula 1 motor racing or rowing 8s for the university boat race. Ooh. Oh no.
Yes, it was in.
I have a little bit of sympathy for the lady line judge there, because I don't know if we'll see a replay, but she was still moving. We have what's known in the trade as the Texas system of line calling here. They haven't got a full complement, so you cover the centre serve and then you dash for your sideline, and she hadn't quite made it. So some interesting calling in that game. But it's Sampras who holds serve yet again. 5-4. Charged?
No. It was certainly first used in team tennis in the 1970s. It's when they made all the
see the gentleman there moving across. The gentleman we had the close-up with.
Yes, it's the sort of thing when first introduced into team tennis that you were aware of the man moving, but it's funny how you get used to it. Big second serve now.
Well, again, Sampras doing his best to let Hlasek off the hook. Enough 30 it was, remember. What would you do to improve the Sampras backhand?
I'd work in it for hours. Tim Gullickson used to, and we discussed it a number of times. But played.
Dismissed.
5 games.
Hlasek is living a little perilously in this second set, but he's clinging on.
He's certainly got to develop snap in it, and I think a lot of it has to do with the right foot. It's almost as if it's a backhand played with a wobbly arm, with putty rather than steel. You should watch many a clip of the great backhand slicers. People like Rosewall and Roach and McEnroe, Edberg. See how they do it.
He's missed another one. Mind you, the thought of Sampras with a much improved backhand would be pretty formidable.
Oh, quite, yes. Just as well, it's not there. But you see again, he can't, even as he follows through, he can't really hold it there. The whole movement is a wavering one.
Yes, he hasn't got that firm base of the right foot planted, in which we can use as a sort of an axis to swing around, isn't it?
30-50.
Still, life's not too bad. He's this year passed the $22 million mark, prize money alone.
Does that put him about third in the all-time list?
Yes, must be getting up there.
He may even have overtaken Lendl.
Well played, Hlasek.
Well, again, Sampras here, the whole court, but it was a terrific shot by Hlasek. I don't think one can really blame the Sampras backhand volley there. And there he was just fooled. Hlasek waited for the ball and had Sampras committed to the cross court. Yes, he knew he had just a glimmer of a chance there.
He's certainly at 30 all. There were hopes for Hlasek, but Sampras snuffed them out. 6-5. Of course, it was at this stage in the first set that Hlasek dropped his serve crucially. I'm going to try and look up that figure. Through, it's all yours.
Yes, well, I imagine really that the Sampras mind here must be dwelling not on what has been, but on what is to come. And if Hlasek can go about serving at under 50%, which he's been doing, then Sampras, even though he's now against the wind, I will imagine be looking to put pressure, particularly if he gets a forehand. It won't be a chip and charge necessarily as he does with the wind behind him, but he may be hitting and charging.
Pete Sampras is indeed now top of the career prize money leaders. Ivan Lendl 21.25 million. Sampras at 22.1 million now. Edberg is just over the 20 million mark. McEnroe, to give you some comparisons, only made 12 million. And I'm frantically looking for Jimmy Connors, who of course won considerably more titles than anybody else, and down at 8.6 million. Can't see Frew McMillan on this list. Surprises me. But you played in the wrong era. No, in fact, I found you. You're there. 600,000.
It must be pesetas, I think.
No, you can afford to buy dinner tonight. I've just discovered how rich you are. Jakob Hlasek serving to stay in the match. But it should be said that you've played quite a bit of your tennis before Open tennis began. Won Wimbledon before Open tennis began. Bob Hewitt. Still, you don't look a day over 55.
Well, snap your cord, Mercer. Get you off the air. Comments like that.
30.
Now that's the sort of serving he imagined he would do, should do. None of this miss first serve business.
Three points to take a tiebreak. It was into the tiebreak. And of course it was Hlasek who won the tiebreak in Rotterdam.
Yeah, Sampras has won one in Lyon, so they won all in tiebreakers.
It's the semi-finals of Lyon in '93.